Here's a shocking fact. Some people don't fall in love with others. They fall in love with themselves. Not confidence, not self-respect. I mean real admiration. The kind where your own reflection becomes your favorite person. But here's the strange part. People who admire themselves are often the most insecure humans alive. So today, we're diving into the psychology of people who admire themselves, why they do it, what it hides, how it affects relationships, and how to tell the difference between healthy self-love and dangerous self-obsession. And by the end of this video, you might realize something uncomfortable. You've probably met one, or worse, you've been one. Let's begin. What does it really mean to admire yourself? Let's start simple. Admiring yourself is not the same as loving yourself. Self-love says, I'm okay even when I fail. Self-admiration says, I must look impressive even when I'm broken. People who admire themselves constantly watch themselves, how they walk, how they talk, how others react to them. Their life becomes a performance. They don't just live, they observe themselves living. Imagine someone laughing, but checking if the laugh looks attractive. Imagine someone helping, but making sure someone notices. That's not confidence, that's psychological surveillance. Deep tip: the more someone admires themselves, the less safe they feel inside themselves. Because admiration is usually built to replace something missing. The secret root: insecurity wearing a crown. Most self-admiring people didn't start confident. They started uncertain. As kids, many were either ignored, criticized, compared, or emotionally starved. So the brain learned a rule: if I become impressive, I become safe. Instead of feeling worthy, they learned to look worthy. Psychology calls this compensatory identity. You don't become powerful, you create a costume of power. Example: there's a guy who posts gym photos daily, mirror selfies, flexing, quotes about being alpha. But in real life, he panics when people don't reply fast. Why? Because admiration is his armor, and armor always means war happened before. Deep tip: people don't admire themselves because they feel big. They admire themselves because they once felt small. The mirror addiction. Self-admiring people are addicted to reflection. Not mirrors only, but emotional mirrors. They need feedback constantly, likes, views, compliments, reactions. Their brain releases dopamine when others confirm the image they already admire. But here's the dangerous loop: admiration, validation, temporary relief, anxiety, more admiration. It never ends. That's why some people can't stay offline. Silence feels like invisibility, and invisibility feels like death to the ego. Story example: a girl uploads a photo, gets 300 likes, feels powerful for 10 minutes. Then she refreshes. Why? Because admiration fades fast, and when it fades, the old insecurity comes back louder. Deep tip: self-admiration isn't love, it's emotional caffeine. It wakes you up, but crashes you later. Narcissism versus healthy self-love. Now let's clear confusion. Not everyone who admires themselves is narcissistic. Healthy self-love says, I'm valuable even when nobody watches. Narcissistic admiration says, I'm only valuable when everybody watches. Narcissistic admiration has traits: need for attention, fear of criticism, shallow empathy, image obsession, emotional defensiveness. They don't listen, they wait to be admired back. They don't connect, they perform. Imagine dating someone like that. You're sad, they turn it into their story. You're talking, they interrupt with their greatness, because admiration hijacks empathy. Deep tip: when someone loves themselves, they can love others. When someone admires themselves, they compete with others. Why their confidence feels fake. Ever notice something strange? Self-admiring people look bold but panic easily. That's because their confidence is external, not internal. Internal confidence says, I'm stable even if rejected. External confidence says, I'm confident as long as nobody rejects me. So criticism feels like attack, jokes feel like insults, disagreement feels like betrayal. That's why they overreact. Someone corrects them, anger. Someone ignores them, anxiety. Someone outshines them, jealousy. Because admiration lives on a fragile pedestal. Deep tip: real confidence is quiet. Self-admiration is loud because it's afraid. How self-admiration ruins relationships. Relationships need vulnerability. Self-admiration avoids vulnerability. Why? Because vulnerability might crack the image. So they hide flaws, deflect blame, manipulate perception, avoid accountability. Instead of saying, I was wrong, they say, you misunderstood me. Instead of apologizing, they justify. So partners feel unseen, friends feel used, because admiration focuses on how I look, not how you feel. When admiration turns into delusion. Too much admiration creates fantasy identity. You stop seeing who you are, you see who you pretend to be. Psychology calls this ego inflation. Reality bends to protect the image. So failures become conspiracies, critics become haters, truth becomes jealousy. That's how some people live in imaginary greatness while real life collapses. They're rich in stories, poor in results. Deep tip: admiring yourself too much is like editing your life instead of living it. Why social media makes it worse. Social media feeds admiration addiction. It rewards image, not depth. You don't need to grow, you need to look grown. You don't need peace, you need aesthetics. So people start branding their personality. Sad but pretty, broken but attractive, lonely but filtered. The brain confuses attention with value, so admiration becomes survival strategy. Deep tip: in the digital world, some people don't want to be happy, they want to be impressive. Signs someone secretly admires themselves too much. Talks more than listens, constant self-reference, defensive when corrected, obsessed with appearance, needs validation often, competes instead of connects, feels empty when alone. But here's the twist: most of them don't know they're doing it, because admiration feels like confidence. Deep tip: the ego never tells you it's lying, it tells you you're special. How to turn self-admiration into real self-love. Now the powerful part. Self-admiration is fragile, self-love is stable. Here's how to shift. Stop performing when nobody's watching. Get comfortable being average sometimes. Accept criticism without collapsing. Listen more than you speak. Build identity from values, not image. Ask yourself, if nobody saw this, would I still do it? That question separates admiration from authenticity. When you stop impressing, you start existing. Here's the mind-blowing truth. People who admire themselves aren't arrogant, they're scared. Scared of being ordinary, scared of being unseen, scared of being unimportant. So they decorate themselves with importance. But peace comes when you realize you don't need to look valuable. You already are. Deep tip: the most powerful people don't admire themselves, they accept themselves. And if you recognize a little of this inside you, good. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. You don't need to impress the world. You need to stop hiding from yourself. This is YouThink. And if this opened your mind, subscribe for more psychology that actually changes how you see people and yourself.